Hey guys, so I wanted to make a video on evolution and God. Another one of my famous videos on God that I've been doing lately. But basically, I see evolution, my own personal perception of cosmological to biological evolution, as a reason as to why there is a God. I don't know that there is a God, but I believe that there is a God. Because I would say I don't really know anything in particular. I just kind of believe things. I have ideas about things, but I try to stay humble and ultimately in life just be a person, just a good, kind hearted person. But anyway, so all beings come from other beings. I know that I'm a being because I feel things, I have thoughts and feelings, I have awareness, consciousness, I can move my body. I'm a being. But I come from other beings. I come from my parents came from their parents, and you keep going back in time. With science, we understand that all humans come from prehistoric apes, and then even those prehistoric apes come from other mammals, and then those mammals came from prehistoric reptiles, and then they came from prehistoric amphibians. They came from fish, prehistoric fish, and then prehistoric fish came from even older, the Precambrian explosion of crustaceans or whatever. And they came from multicellular organisms, and those organisms came from single celled organisms, and the single celled organisms came from a pool of chemicals known as the primordial soup. And the primordial soup came from the growing atmosphere on the planet after the sun blew up, and some of the magma just went like a certain distance from the sun and created a layer of rock outside because it cooled. The magma cooled. So the rock not froze, but like solidified. So basically, and the stars came from the Big Bang and energy, light particles. And they're even saying now that there may be other Big Bangs, but it's all existing within space. But what I'm trying to say is, one thing I want to say is, I think it's an error in modern human thinking to think that some things are alive whereas other things aren't alive. Because I don't think that's how nature sees it. Because we say that life started when the primordial soup produced single celled organisms and then life began. But that's not what I think. I think that's what I'm saying. I think that's an error in modern human thinking, or that's kind of like scientific thinking. But I don't think nature sees it as it's not alive and then all of a sudden it's alive. Nature has no opinion on that. Nature doesn't, I don't believe that nature assigns like now it's alive. Because it's just moving. It's just a certain body is moving and it's becoming more complex as time goes on through movement. That's what evolution is. It's movement and complexity. Now, the whole reason why we have this perception that something could be alive is because we perceive ourselves to be alive, and we make comparisons between other beings that seem to be alive, like animals and plants and cells. But in order for something to be moving, for movement to happen, I think there would need to be some kind of sense of being, aliveness. Something is something. It is. I am. Because I am. Now, like I said, I think it's an error in modern human thinking that some things are alive and where others aren't. All it is just the pool of chemicals was going through some movement interactions, and it became more complex so that it could support single celled beings. But being and movement didn't come from nowhere. That was already happening. That already was. I don't think being came from just movement. I think they're existing in a relationship, being and movement. Now, being that all beings, like I said, I come from my parents come from their parents, and you just keep going back in time. It all came from the pool of chemicals, and then that came from the stars. The stars came from light particles and energy from the Big Bang, from what we understand so far. But um, being that all beings come from other beings, I think, like I said before, maybe I'm kind of just repeating what I said, but I think even those dumb or dead things like rocks and chemicals and water, I think those have a sense of being to them. They are. It is. It is something. It is. And as it goes through complexity, through movement, it becomes what we call today humans, what we are. But the essence stayed the same. And the essence, I believe, is also a being. There is some kind of movement. Like when you meditate, you can feel your essence. It feels like inner peace. It moves. When you meditate, when you slow down your mind and you really feel yourself, you feel this expansion of peace within you, and that's your being. That's your essence. Essence, I believe, is alive too. Just like your body is made of cells which are alive, separate beings almost. I think your essence is almost like a separate being. And that's what I think God is, because I think God is like a being that ultimately is the source of all things, existence. I believe existence is alive. It's conscious. You can communicate with it. It's confusing as hell, I will tell you that. But this is just what I believe. I don't really know this. I have convictions about this, and it seems like it makes a lot of sense to me, at least. Maybe I'm just some crazy schizophrenic, whatever you want to believe, but you want to know what? Like, what do you know? Or what do you think? But, no, I don't want to get in those vibes. Sorry. I don't like getting like that. But, whatever. But I believe, getting back to what I was saying, is that all things are beings, ultimately. And God is the being that precedes all things existing outside of time and space. Or maybe even God is existing in space and is space itself. Because that's ultimately where all things come from, I believe. Like the Big Bang, an explosion. It's just existing in. Where did the Big Bang start from? Where did it come from? I guess we don't really know with modern science, but it's existing. It is. It kind of, when I think about that, it kind of looks like space, like just empty, void space. But when you really meditate and connect with your own essence of being, you connect with that space. Don't think about it. Don't try to see it in your reality so much. Feel it. Because the essence of God is within you. The kingdom of heaven is within. Now feel your own sense of being, your own aliveness. Even just talking about this, I'm starting to feel my inner being expanding. I feel peace inside. Do a meditation. And if you start, a lot of the times people say with meditation is they want to stop thinking because they feel like thinking is disrupting the meditation. But it's okay to think during meditation as long as you're having the right thoughts, or as long as you're allowing your thoughts to arise naturally without you clinging to them or directing them. Just notice how they arise and then fade. But feel your being. It feels like peace. And that's why religion is all about peace. because that's God. God is a being. You have the kingdom of heaven within you. Your own essence is God. When you feel your essence, you feel God. It feels like peace. And that's why religion is about peace. Because it's what you feel when you think about these things. When you feel your own essence, you feel God. You can talk to your essence. You're talking to God. And if you never really explored these things, don't expect God to like respond to you right away because it can come out very confusing. Like there's the potential for what people call spirit imposters, where like you might hear a voice or maybe see an image in your head or get some kind of intuitive message, but it's not actually like the voice of that essence. It's an essence within your subconscious mind. It could be a dark angel, a demon, an evil spirit. They see that you're starting to awaken to these things, so they try to confuse you, sort of. That's what I believe. Because I believe, actually, something. I was talking to my angels recently, and I had a question like, why don't you guys, like, just. Um, why can't you, like, make the spirit attachments go away on command when I just tell you to make it go away? And they said, you have to understand that we're imaginary. We're in your mind. Now, what I got from that isn't so much that it's not real because it's imaginary. Because if what you're imagining isn't real, then how are you experiencing that? It is real. It has its own style or flavor of reality that's different from our physical flavor of reality. That's what I believe. That's how I'm understanding this. I don't know it for a fact, so like if I've ever said in my videos in the past that I know something like this, please forgive me because I should correct myself now. I don't actually know for a solid fact any of this. Because for all I know, it's imaginary. What if life itself is imaginary? Like I've seen magical things happen, like miraculous things that prove to me personally that life is imaginary or magical. But even then, I still don't really know that. The only thing I'm kind of aware of is that I don't know anything. And the only reason why magic exists in the first place is because the modern um, the modern understanding of reality actually supports magic because there's this idea that magic isn't real. But that's actually what gives it a reality. When you say that something's not real, you're giving it a reality regarding these type of things. That might be kind of hard to understand at first, I think. If like I'm not understanding like a truth, but understanding what I'm trying to say. Because I see it as like if you say something like magic isn't real, then you're giving the potential for this experience or circumstance in reality in life for something strange to happen that could defy the laws of physics or the laws or however you already understand it, life. And I've seen things like this happen. It's a strange world we live in, but it's fucking beautiful. I will say that. And happiness is a real state that you can attain. Feeling good is a real state you can attain. Understand that, life has ups and downs. I've kind of had thoughts like maybe it is possible to feel good like all the time, but um, regardless of what I may think, something I tell myself is just stay grounded and be aware that you're probably going to experience bad feelings again. Because, like, actually, last night and, like, this morning, the psychic attacks were terrible. I was so, like, oh my god, I was just out of my element. But, someone sent me something on Instagram, and it was so good. It was a video of this guy saying, he went to his therapist, and he was saying, like, I don't like how I have these high highs and low lows. He's like, I want to be in the middle. And then the therapist said, well, you know what's in the middle of that? Think about like a heart monitor. Just think about that. What happens in the middle of the high highs and the low lows? You're dead. So you want to understand that when you have these low lows, you just have to know that these high highs are going to come back. Because that's life, and that's what, the low lows is what gives the high highs the feelings of high highs. You wouldn't know happiness if you've never felt sad or angry or afraid, fearful. If you didn't feel any of those negative feelings, you wouldn't feel happiness, love, joy, beauty, wonder, awe. You wouldn't feel any of that. See, I don't want to make this too long, but that's my thoughts on God and evolution and a few other things. Peace.